If you're getting depressed from not getting the cash flow that you expected from your rentals, then one of these mistakes could be holding you back. And how do I know that? Because I've made every single one of them. And once I stopped making these mistakes, my cash flow increased tremendously. And when you have streams of income coming into your life every single month, it can be absolutely life-changing. Now, I'm going to warn you, some of these may not be easy to hear, but the good news is that you can fix each and every single one of them. I wish somebody had slapped me across the face and said, "You flippin' idiot. Stop it already, get with the program and stop pouring money down the drain." So similar to Tales of Christmas Past, I'm going to haunt my former self and show you my much younger and dumber self doing these mistakes so that you don't repeat them. And make sure and stay to the end because I'm going to give you a hint at my biggest mistake ever. But first, let's drift to the past and review mistake number 1, which is too many too soon. Did you ever go around the Monopoly board just buying any and everything you could? That's exactly how I approached buying rental property. Look at that schmuck over there. He thinks he's so smart, he's so confident. As I went on buying properties, I would forget about the ones I just purchased and things started to slip and it affected my cash flow eventually. There's a lot of merit to buying cash flowing properties, but only if you manage them effectively. Buying properties is just one piece of the puzzle. That's all Monopoly teaches you how to do. Now let's haunt my younger and dumber self for mistake number 2, which is overestimating rental income based on existing rentals. Look at this fool here using Zillow existing current rentals as a way to determine what a given property is going to rent for. This is a huge mistake. Just because a property is listed for rent doesn't mean it's going to actually demand that rent. That's just what somebody is asking for it. Zillow doesn't necessarily show you what the property actually rented for. Prefer to use tools like Stessa or Rentometer.com. But best of all is to use a property manager in the area the property is being rented. No one has the pulse on the market better than somebody who spends all day renting properties in that area. Now I have my property manager do a rental analysis before I ever even make an offer on a property, so I know exactly what the property could rent for. And I use the lower end of the estimate they give me, just to be conservative. And a combination of mistake number 1 and 2 will lead to this mistake. Vacancies kill your cash flow, and here I am looking at another property because, of course, I haven't learned my lesson yet. One of the hidden costs of rental properties is vacancy. Obviously, when a property is vacant, no cash flow is coming in. My hotshot former self was too busy running around buying the next property to notice, and the nincompoop had his properties listed for too much. So they sat vacant for even longer, only to realize far too late that it's much better to get a property filled quickly at a lower rate than it is to hold out for the top of the market rate for 3 months. When you do that, the math for the extra $100 a month will take you 3 years of rent to make up for the 3 months of no rent at all because of vacancy. You should be measuring your turnover time between rentals in days, not weeks or months. While he's over there wasting his time, this next mistake only compounds vacancies even more. And mistake number 4 is doing the work yourself. Check out this schmuck right here. What a dummy. Oh yeah, let's do this. Whether we're talking about minor repairs or major rehabs, it's a huge mistake to do the work yourself. You're doing this real estate thing to be an investor, not to buy yourself another job. And that's what rehabbing properties and using those tools are. It's a job and it takes a ton of time. It takes forever. I know you've had this thought before. I'm not paying $150 an hour to some plumber to fix a leak. And then after 3 trips to Home Depot, $600, and 6 hours later, you've kind of fixed the leak and there's still a hole in the drywall. It's a huge time suck and that's not what you're in this for. But once you've learned this lesson, watch out for the next big mistake. Now, mistake number 5 is paying too much for contractors. Just because I'm suggesting that you don't do the work yourself, that doesn't mean that you're going to pay top dollar. You want to avoid working with contractors that specialize in residential owners. We're investors and we want to pay investor grade prices. So you don't want to look for the contractors that are advertising on billboards or on TV. At the same time, you don't want to work with these jacklegs that don't have a license and aren't bonded. They're as likely to cause as much damage to the property as they're going to fix because they're, I don't know, just jacklegs. They're not very good. Well, all right, boys, I guess it's time to get her done. So you want to find contractors who are in the sweet Goldilocks middle. And the best place to find these contractors are from other real estate investors who have gone out and found them themselves, or other real estate agents. They tend to have a very good list of contractors that they work with. Once you learn from these previous mistakes and embrace the idea of delegating tasks, it's really easy to fall victim to this next mistake.
Okay, future Paul back here for a second. My brain's getting a little scattered all that time travel. Mistake number 6 is abdicating instead of delegating. I'm a huge believer in effectively delegating tasks, but beware of just washing your hands of it and expecting someone else to care as much about your results as you do. And now that you've built your team, you still have to manage the people who are doing the rehabbing and your property manager who's leasing up the property. So you have to follow up on their status. And in this case, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. This continues to be one of my biggest mistakes. I just want someone else to take care of the details. But the sad reality is that no one else cares about your properties as much as you do. And finally, the single most important mistake to avoid in real estate is the biggest mistake you can make in real estate is location. And specifically, I'm talking about buying properties in low-income neighborhoods. When you get into this business and start running the numbers, you see that on paper, your cash flow on low-income neighborhoods is much higher than other places. So these are what are called Class C or Class D neighborhoods. They're low income and typically very high crime. And with that comes the likelihood of many more headaches. Now, there are certainly exceptions to the rule. There can be problems in high income areas and there can be fantastic tenants in low income areas. I'm talking about the likelihood of headaches just are higher in lower income, high crime areas. So basically, you'll have to decide how much risk you're willing to take for the chance of better cash flow. And I assure you, owning properties in a low income area will test your resolve no matter how good of a landlord you are. I'll actually share one of the details of one of those experiences in my next video. A good way to know what neighborhoods to be in is to follow your property manager's recommendations. If they're apprehensive about managing in a certain area or they just won't manage in that area at all, that is a really good indication that you shouldn't be buying properties there. I assure you, you will thank your future self and not have to make videos about going to the past.
And now I'm beamed in from the past. I still recommend people invest in real estate because you can continue to make money while you sleep now that you avoid these stupid, silly mistakes that I've made. I will continue to share more lessons from my stupid self. Make sure and subscribe to get updates so you can get all the juicy details. If you want to see my single biggest mistake ever that left me vulnerable to a series of unlucky events that just sucker punched me across the face, make sure and watch this video right here. It was a real kick in the pants.